Craig, thanks as always for spending some time with us.
No problem. Always a pleasure.
So we've gone through a number of interviews today and just really getting some great information from Craig. We wanted to save kind of, one of the more difficult topics to talk about in our society has been, race relations. So I'm a white guy. Craig's African American, black guy. One of the things that we've been doing in some of these interviews is like just opening up dialogue about things related to, race and money. And how those two intersect. So, Craig, you gave me something that really surprised me. It was kind of like that, white guy's surprise type moment where the the you were telling me about how few African American financial advisors are in your industry, and you were even saying that kind of you what you see is that it's actually less or fewer than there were before. How is that happening?
Well, it's a function of how the industry is run, and I don't know if it's by if it's on purpose or not. The market, or you want to, there aren't very many avenues that you're welcomed in. If you're an advisor, you want to go to one of the bigger wirehouses, the mandate will probably be that you be able to bring in, say, 10 to 15 million dollars your first year, based on your network or being out
Based on
there.
your personal network. So you're
Uh,
responsible to bring in that much money just even as a first year advisor.
yeah, I mean the attrition rate's pretty big in the environment. Whether it be insurance or investments. Maybe 20% of the people that come in will actually stay. If you have a network that affords you the opportunity to bring in that amount of assets and get a 25% payout plus your salary, you'll be able to survive. What happens a lot of times with advisors, they sort of wash out of the wirehouse. They get some training, not all the training that was afforded me when I was coming up in the business, to get that training and exposure where you could survive for 2 or 3 years until you had a footing and a client base and learned the trade. A lot of times those individuals are pushed out the door for not hitting their goals. Then the next channel might be that they could go to a bank or a financial institution, a credit union, where they would be the advisor who sits in the corner and provides investment services. And for the most part, that's not really financial planning. That's really more product pushing. How many widgets can you sell
Hmm.
out the door? And what you're doing is you're pretty much living paycheck to paycheck because your production is measured every month at those banking institutions or credit unions with how much gross commission did you earn this month. So you're constantly on that treadmill of providing revenue to the financial institution. And for the most part, you're not in the wealthiest parts of town. They typically will place you in the inner city branches where you have even less opportunity to earn the higher rates of commission that they're wanting. So they're comparing you to the advisor who might be working on the west side here in Los Angeles, who's able to generate with a few trades, a $20,000 gross commission. Whereas, if you're sitting on a platform on Crenshaw and Slauson, um, or even further into South Los Angeles, how many opportunities are you going to really have to speak with an individual who's got, $250,000 in assets, where you could possibly generate, um, you know, multiple commission runs to get to those higher levels.
So part
So
of
a
it
lot of advisors have fade out just from a standpoint of not being able to generate the revenue, um, you know,
to make a living.
that's needed to make a living. So they
Now,
just abandon the profession altogether.
now, when you say wirehouses, just for people that don't understand that term, what does that mean?
Well, it's just your traditional, like a Morgan Stanley, a Merrill Lynch, your true brokerage firm. You're
Brokerage firm.
what you thought of as a brokerage firm,
Okay.
full service
So,
brokerage firm.
so say that, somebody that's watching this is, an African American college student, and they're interested in financial planning, and they're watching, what you've done in your career and being in the industry over 20 years. Those would kind of be the traditional paths that they would have is like to work at a wirehouse or to work on the bank side.
Correct.
And you feel that particularly to black folks, African Americans, that those two paths are not really like set up for success the way things are now.
No, I don't believe so. At least I don't see it. If I saw it, I know when I go to many of the investment management conferences, I know in the past some of your larger institutions would help sponsor you for your CFA designation or your CFP designations. I just don't see the numbers like I used to. There's fewer of us. Out of a room of 1,000, there might be 10 of us at most.
And because that's a much lower percentage than actually black folks in our actual world, who actually
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
in
I
my
think we make up about 13% of the population. Not exactly sure, but um, you know, there should be a lot more in the industry.
what do you think for because the majority of your client base is African American individuals and families, is that right?
Yeah, and that's just by design because I work here in Los Angeles and I tend to do business within a 10-mile radius of my house. I do have clients outside of Los Angeles, from the Bay Area, Santa Barbara, Ventura, San Diego, and out to Riverside. But I would say the majority of my client base is here in Los Angeles.
And you're based out of the Ladera Heights area.
Correct, the Windsor Hills, View Park area.
Fantastic. And now, with for there not being as many African American financial advisors as there should be, for an African American individual or family, um, there's a big benefit from being able to work with somebody that really understands, your situation. Would you say? I mean, I'm not saying you're exclusive only to that market, but what's the benefit for that client of being able to connect with you?
I think, well, for me, I working as a certified financial planner in a fiduciary capacity, I'm working in the best interest of the client, which is first and foremost, not as an agent. Most individuals, in any of their financial engagements, they're always working with an agent or someone who's working as a broker, who has the the interest of the institution that they're working for as their first and foremost. So, being able to work as a fiduciary, I'm able to do what's right for the client first and foremost,
And
and that's a mandate.
yeah, and do you think that that African Americans when because it's been proven through, whether it's shopping for mortgages or whatever type of financial products that there's been a lot of problems throughout the years of overcharging and things like that. So, do you think that
Yes.
that the African American community and investors have to kind of like be extra careful, being that that's been the case?
Yeah, and I think a lot of times I get the skepticism, a lot of times even from within my own community, about being an independent financial planner. You're like, you're not with the big firm, but I'm like, well, it's the big firm that's the one that's screwing you over, because they're not providing you with the best product for what your need is. Um, and that takes time, and trust is earned over time. So, once once I get a client, I never lose them to a financial institution like a bank or one of the bigger wirehouses because I'm able to provide a lot more value. I think we're making progress. As time goes on, there's a lot of pressure in the industry right now as far as bringing down the cost associated with investing and having insurance products, and that's a good thing. Is that a large part of it has been disruptions with technology. I think I mentioned this before, but I wouldn't be able to run a practice the way I run it now, even 10 years ago. The technology just wasn't there for me to be able to have a webinar with a customer who lives in Riverside or someone who lives in San Diego and conduct a meeting and be able to view their documents online, or even to be able to transmit money through an ACH from one bank to another institution electronically. Those things were unheard of 10 years ago, or at least if they were, there was a cost associated with them. So technology's, sort of democratized the ability to provide certain services to a different segment of the population that they've never been served that way.
What do you think that the financial services industry can do, Craig, to kind of get going in the right direction on these on inclusion and on frankly, not everybody being Caucasian?
Well, I mean, it's always about revenue. Capitalism is about generating, I guess, the most for the least amount of outlay in labor. So everyone's looking to compress, labor cost and generate more income or revenue.
So essentially, what you're saying then is because it's a capitalist system that the best way for more African Americans to be included in the financial services industry and doing well and enjoying working in that industry, like you're doing now, is for those African American advisors that are out there like you doing business to do more and more business. Because that's what kind of proves that the effectiveness.
Yeah, as I, grow my practice, I'll be able to maybe employ other individuals and teach them what I've learned over the many years. What happens a lot of times, those of us that are successful leave the community and, never give anything back or don't don't work within the community. So here I am, someone who works in the community, and I'm able to make a living, um, and without the stress of dealing with the freeways and the traffic here in Los Angeles, and have a healthy lifestyle. That's what I'm looking to do. Yeah, I mean, the big thing, I think everyone wants value. A lot of times, what's on the forefront and what's visible isn't necessarily really valuable to you. So you actually look elsewhere. There's a difference between going to the corner, market and going to maybe a Trader Joe's. If you had a Trader Joe's in the neighborhood, you would go to it versus driving all the way on the other side of town to go to Trader Joe's. It's a much better value and better quality.
Right.
I would try to compare myself to that, being that Trader Joe's here in the neighborhood.
Love it. Thanks, Craig. I appreciate you sharing these insights with us as always. And we'll definitely be talking to you soon. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thanks.